Good afternoon, evening, wherever you're watching us from. Thanks for coming back. My name is Michael Burrows, and we are back with another episode of our incredibly popular Symphonic Marketing Masterclass series. As all of you who've been here this week already know, this week we are focused on live streaming platforms and best practices for that fan engagement tool. It is becoming increasingly important to everybody in our community of artists, and it has been for a while as social media develops. And that real-time engagement is becoming a more crucial weapon in your arsenal, but it's even more timely right now in that we have lost the ability to have that sort of face-to-face engagement with our fans for the most part. And in turn, you have all lost a good deal of that income stream. And so you don't need me to tell you that, but it's certainly a concern that we're hearing from you guys regularly. And so we've had a few partners at the table this week, just sitting down to talk about what their platforms are about and how you can use them to engage your fans. In really easy ways in some cases, in much more in-depth ways in other cases, but the goal is to make it fruitful for you, be it from an income standpoint or just a reach growth standpoint. And today our partners are the wonderful folks at Mandolin. And so Mandolin is one of the more recent players in the game as far as folks you're hearing from this week, which is great, and they're blowing up incredibly quickly. And with us today, we have Megan York, who is the Chief Marketing Officer there at Mandolin. We've got Corey Humphris, who is the Director of Product, and we've got Keith Richards, who is an account exec at their artist relations team. So Keith, I blundered that last one. That was not personal. I love you. All right, so thank you very much for coming. Thanks for making the time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. So I've seen some really exciting experiences on the platform in the last few months. Some really phenomenal large shows with artists that are kind of all over the map in terms of genre. So we'll definitely want to hear about, your sweet spot for genre and size of audience and all that stuff. I know you've got it baked into what you're going to talk to us about. So some of these have been really great, just kind of straight live stream in real time sort of shows, and others have had some really cool interview pieces baked into what you're seeing live. And so a really unique one that way, that it feels really like an almost engaging documentary kind of thing while it's really live stream in real time and stuff. So some neat stuff there. And I'm sure you'll have some other great killer cases to share with us on what you've done so far this year. But we just wanted to kind of take a little time and sort of walk through what Mandolin's all about, see the platform if that works, and then, turn it into a little bit of a Q&A at the end. And so when we do air this one too, we'll have our clients that are watching able to put some questions there in the bottom as well. And we'll come back to you with some sort of posthumous questions also here and see if we can get some good answers there. But with that, I will hand it over to you all. Who wants to drive first? Who's taking the lead?
I'll drive first.
All right.
Well, thanks for having us, Michael, and thanks to everybody who is turning into our session today. As Michael said, I'm Megan York, a Chief Marketing Officer, and I have my buddies Keith and Corey with us today. We're going to talk a lot about different parts of the platform. I'm going to start out with kind of like what is our greater mission at Mandolin and why we started and why we're here. Keith's going to talk a little bit more about digging into some of the, what makes us different as a platform and some of our really great case studies that we've had. And then Corey's going to talk about what's coming new and exciting in the platform. So like I said, I'm going to start a little bit of who are we at Mandolin and what are we doing here? So, you'll see our mission statement here, but we're the digital engagement platform for artists and fans. Two really important pieces of that statement. The first is around digital engagement. So, we've been going to market first as a live stream provider, and live stream is still going to be really the cornerstone of our product development and our offering to the market. But what we really want to do is think bigger even than live stream and think about the full breadth of digital possibilities and how artists can use digital to create those relationships with their fans. And then you'll see that we put both artists and fans in our mission statement. And that also includes our friends in the venues and our friends in the festivals. A lot of us have come from the music industry, and we've seen an industry really that's been pretty bifurcated. You're either on the side of the artist or you're on the side of the fan. And sometimes you have to make some decisions about who's going to win in that scenario. And at Mandolin, we have a lot of really passionate people who are artists and fans themselves. And we have sort of, a deeper mission of trying to come up with a platform that really serves the interests of both of those people, really believing in the rights of artists to prosper from their music, and then, the rights of fans to be able to have fair access to that music. So that's one of the things I feel really passionate about. I know these guys do too. But let's dig in a little bit more to what we mean around digital engagement and kind of what's the thought process and driving all of the different things that we're putting out in market right now. So at the broadest level, what we want to do is give artists the ability to create these experiences for their fans, then take what they've created and amplify that to an even wider audience out in the market, and then use all of those amplification opportunities as chances to connect with their fans. And so that's at the broadest level when we're talking about how we drive product innovation, how we drive a lot of how we're going to market. Those are kind of like our three main pillars of our platform. But if you dig in a little bit more to that, like what does that actually look like for the people, the fans and the artists who are using our platform? Well, what we're going to see us talk a lot today is about how we're really creating those engaging fan experiences, how the fan experiences then flow into other content opportunities, whether that's amplifying the content on social, or creating a Spotify album from a live stream that you just did. And the cool thing about data, or the cool thing about digital, I guess I should say, is that it gives artists access to data like an in-person show, never would. So, I come from Live Nation Ticketmaster, and we would always talk about, you might know who purchased the ticket, but you don't actually know who walked in the door to your show. And that data has always been a little bit of a mystery for this market of how to harness that and really get to know fans. And, all you have to do is be an Amazon shopper to know that digital gives us the ability to know our customers and know what they want and know what their preferences are and know the kinds of things that they're interested in. So, we want to see a world where artists are not in an intrusive way or in a way that, stomps on a fan's privacy in any way, but really gets that access to understand how do fans want to engage with me, and then use that to, like we said, kind of finish that cycle of how do I get to know my fans and then offer those experience to them that are, builds that connection even deeper. And so, that was a long way of saying what this slide says in just a sentence, but our tools and our platform, I mean, that's the goal. We want artists to really get to know their fans so that they can develop those relationships that are even deeper. And anybody who is a music fan knows that deeper connection with the artists that we love is what we want. And so, when we talked about respecting fans and giving them access, that ability to get to know their fans opens up even more possibility for those connections to be developed. And from the artist perspective, Michael, as you alluded to, this has been a really, really tough time for the industry, and that a lot of touring artists have seen, their revenue streams and their income streams, just dissipate. And so we think that there's such an opportunity for artists through digital to be able to not only create revenue for themselves or create income from themselves now, but create even more revenue when live comes back. So, if we think about an artist going on tour and having their tour planned out and all the venues that they're going to, how do you use live stream or how do you use digital to open up those types of opportunities to maybe people who couldn't attend the show because it's sold out, or people who couldn't attend the show because they're outside of a certain mile radius? Or how do you, even use digital to keep fan engagement going after your tour is over, letting people get some insight into some of the new songs maybe you're recording before you release those, or backstage content, or any of those things that digital opens up that really in-person shows couldn't have on their own. And then I think, the third piece really is when you start to understand who your fans are, you can also understand who are other people like your fans. And so not only then are you reaching those people who are kind of like your tried and true people who always come to your shows, the digital lets you open up that audience even more to reach new fans with your music, which, like we said, all result in additional income and more revenue for the artists and for the venues and for the festivals. And you know what? Fans want it too. So there was a Billboard magazine article that came out a few months ago. And as we know, in the days of live stream, a few months seems like a few years. Things are changing so quickly. So when this article was released in Billboard, 47% of music listeners said that they thought live stream was really important. I'll tease a little bit for your audience, Michael. We're doing actually a fan research study on our own. Looking at how both people who have seen a Mandolin show and then fans at large, how people are consuming live stream. And we're seeing in the initial findings up to 80% of fans actually are saying that even when live comes back, they see a role for live stream and they see a role for digital. So that feels very, very promising to Mandolin, and also just to, I guess, all the fans out there who want to interact with artists this way and see that as a really cool way to build those connections. So that's kind of my overall spiel of like what Mandolin's about and why we're here. Any questions there before I pass it over to Keith?
No, it's a great lead in. I appreciate it. There'll be some other questions. I just don't want to hit on too much until you've given you a chance to hit on everything that we know folks are after. So,
all right, Keith, it's all you. I'm going to stop sharing and then you can share.
So, Michael, I appreciate you kind of prompting with the question, what makes our platform different? And you're not the only one asking that question. It's a good question that we get from almost everybody that we talk to about the platform. I mean, you've got a lot of now artists and artist managers coming and saying, with the concept of ultimately.
Keith, I'm sorry, just to cut you quickly short. We've got this, won't be able to play one media object in the presentation. Do we want to resolve that before we get to that point?
What is it, Megan? It's an MP4. I'm slide 15. Oh.
But Corey,
I wasn't.
But Corey, do you have?
Corey, were you going to play that anyway, that embed?
No, I wasn't planning on it.
Fine.
Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, I cut your flow off, my friend.
Yeah.
All good. I want a new approach anyway. Go away. Are you guys still able to see this menu? You didn't see it on Megan's.
I think if you hit exit, it might go away.
Okay. Well, I do this professionally. There we go. Nope. Hey, Michael, I appreciate you asking what makes our platform different. And I wanted you to know that this is a question that we get pretty regularly, both from artists, artist managers, booking agencies, publishing companies, record companies. There's a general sentiment out there right now that on a base level that all streaming platforms are the same. I won't go into the arm wrestle of why I disagree with that statement, but I will kind of tell you just kind of internally and as a whole, what I feel like makes Mandolin stand apart from some of the other platforms out there. So our platform in general just makes the magic happen, as this slide says, from the fan experience, where artists are now able to create content and put it out to their fans, distribution, to use that not only for the live event, but post that, data and insights around where your fans are, what they love the most, et cetera, and our marketing team, which I would put up against anybody. So when I kind of talked this with artist teams, I kind of break it down into the following things. I really describe Mandolin as a full service platform, right? Like our teams are broken up into a sales department. We also have a marketing department that Megan heads up that is able to be as hands-on or hands-off. There's some organic marketing that we give every artist that's on our platform, where we can fully engage our team to really help drive ticket sales. We have a production department internally that can also be as hands-on or hands-off as you'd like them to be. You can come to us with a fully baked product of this is what we're doing, this is where we're doing it from, this is the production company that's going to do it. Or you can come to us and say, hey, I don't know where to do this. I don't know any production companies. Can you guys help me source? And the answer is absolutely. Happy to kind of present some options in that space. Our show ops team, which is a great group of folks that not only help build the ticketing pages and build the show pages, but also run our customer service and our fan support, which I'll demo for you a little bit later on the platform. And we also have an internal legal team. As this streaming landscape continues to grow and take shape, there are a lot of conversations around performing rights organizations and what kind of licenses you need to run replays of your shows that are now falling into sync licenses. So that's a service that we offer. We have an internal legal team that can walk artist teams hand in hand through what they're going to be looking at, paying out PROs, what it would really take to get a sync license around a cover for a replay, et cetera. So I think that full service element really does set us apart from some of the other platforms out there, because no matter at what level of artists that we're presenting, you get the full team approach for every one of our shows. So this is kind of a sequence that we talked about, that kind of content distribution, repurposing content, et cetera. We did June on the Line was one of our flagship artists that we presented on Mandolin. So obviously did a show with us, and they took that music and adapted it for an on-demand Spotify stream. They've used that data for engagement through this time where there haven't been live shows, kind of connecting with fans, et cetera, and recognizing who their fans are. They can then aggregate that out or expand that out to being able to really deeply connect to those fans for VIP opportunities coming up. They can connect them. We can tether that to potentially being on tour with the band in 2021 as they get going. They can also really kind of develop what I like to call like the Gen Z version of a fan club, right? Kind of really bringing all those people into one central location and connecting them through one platform. So let me show you actually what I've got, everybody. I kind of wanted to show you just a show that we did just last night on the platform. Last night we hosted Nickel Creek from Santa Barbara. It was one of our biggest shows that we've had to date on the platform. It was an incredibly exciting and engaging show. But this is just a quick look at the Mandolin platform, right? So here's the viewing area. We have a chat function where this chat feature was live and hot last night. It was a lot of fun to watch. A lot of fans that were really excited to see the band for the first time. I think since 2014 was the last time they really pushed out and did anything. So this is, even though the band wasn't able to see the fans, this chat was full of fans and support around what they were doing. We also have this watch party function over here that is great for a multitude of things, in my opinion. One, if you and I were watching this show together, didn't want to be in the full chat, we could create our own separate chat room, be in there together. In the instance that an artist is live streaming a pre-recorded show, the artist can potentially start his own private chat room, put it out on his socials, push it through his email database, and kind of engage fans in that way. We've also seen this sell tickets, right? So if I'm watching this show and you're not, and I go create a private chat room and I send you an invite link after I've created my party, it takes you immediately to our box office and then dumps you into the chat room with me. So multi kind of functionality and approach and benefit to that function. Then obviously emoji reactions for the fans.
Hey, can I ask a quick question on that one? Just because I know that like these are the kind of things that are spreading out onto more platforms than they were before, but is there any sort of referral like credits that you're giving fans when they're bringing other people in shows?
Not fans yet. I mean, we do have an affiliate program that could technically enable almost anybody that has the opportunity to push out and sell tickets, right? Okay. So like if one of your artists was connected with an influencer on Instagram, right? We could enable them with their own separate ticket link that they could track, that influencer could push out through their channels, but not so much a referral network work with fans at this point. But that's a great thing to point out.
But Michael,
so emoji.
I don't mean to interrupt, Keith, but definitely influencer marketing is on our radar.
Okay.
as a definitely a viable strategy, especially when we're talking about connections with fans, knowing that like there's no better referral to music that you might like than somebody who knows you really well. So that's from the marketing team's perspective. Standing up a fan affiliate program, just like we've done for venues, is definitely on the radar.
Yeah. It feels like with the way that we're building the community here, like being able to also as a fan earn, if I bring 3 people in, I'm going to get my next show free kind of thing. This is a great, interactive, interactive page here that like, it feels like it fit nicely in. You don't even have to give me a bonus for that. I'll just take 1 free show.
I think you've already had a couple of their free shows, Mr. Burrows,
but you didn't send me Nickel Creek last night. My favorite in the whole world. Come on.
Oh, just wait, bud. They've got another one coming up next week. So, and then under here, not only did we link out to some of the show-specific merch for the band, we can also, in this section, we can host donations, we can host sponsors, etc. But we also gave the fans an opportunity to upgrade their ticket to a VIP ticket. The band did a post-show Q&A song request. And this was incredibly popular because obviously we've all been at these shows. It comes to an end and nobody wants it to end. And the band was already extending their show. So we saw a huge response to that. So again, live streaming platforms, there are some people that kind of look at it broad stroke and think it all looks the same. I would tell you that I feel like our quality of audio and video from the responses that we've seen, I'd put it up there next to anybody for sure. And we pride ourselves in that because these artists are not only entrusting us with their brand, but they're entrusting us with their fan and their fan experience. And the other thing that we do to speak to that, this is the in-show help function for us that is staffed by real-life Mandolin employees. When you originally submit something like this, it takes you a quick FAQ page to help you maybe try and solve for yourself. But if you're like me and you like talking to real people and not robots when you call in to help services, etc., when you leave a message and you go and populate what's going on, it puts you into a chat queue. Then in real time, you see where you're at in the queue, 4, 3, 2, and then you get a real live Mandolin employee on the other end that stays in that chat until your problem is resolved. So everything artist-centric, fan-centric, making sure everybody has the best showtime on our platform. Like we kind of showed you what it looked like on the platform. And these are some of the kind of case studies we've put together around artists that we've hosted. So we did a record release for Cam. It was incredibly successful. She really kind of wanted to do an intimate type feel from the Bluebird, a very pivotal room in her career and a pivotal room for songwriters in Nashville. We took care of the full rental arrangement for Cam in that situation. We also brought the production team on board for her team. But these are some of the stats that we pulled after Cam's show hit, right? So like the ticket capacity, if you're familiar with the Bluebird, is I think right at 95 tickets, unless they're squeezing people back by the bathroom and behind the bar. So we were able to up that capacity for a potential record release show at the Bluebird by 680%, right? Which was really fun, gave not only people a live look and access to Cam's record release show, but a lot of fans first look at the Bluebird and inside the Bluebird. So that was a really cool thing that we got to do. We ran right at an 8x ROI on our ad spend. We ran dark ads and ad spends for her team on socials and had a really strong response. And then 45% of the ticket sales from that show were driven by a merch bundle, right? So it was around a record release for her. You could buy a ticket and the new record. You could buy a ticket and a poster. We carried a strong percentage with those bundle options. In a different kind of artist sphere, one of the first jam bands we hosted on the platform was a band called Mo. We very quickly turned around a 2-show series with Mo live from the Yarmouth Drive-In in Massachusetts, which I feel like you might be familiar with, my friend. So we did 2 shows for that band. It was a very quick turnaround. They were looking at another platform. They felt like that platform was going to take too much off the top as part of their share. Came to us and we said, you know what, we don't even want any of the ticket money. We just need a flat fee for the platform and we'll stand you up real quick. We went on sale on a Wednesday for a show on Friday and Saturday of that week. We sold a 2-show bundle because we all know the jam fans, no matter how many shows, they'll watch all of them and be there for the entirety. So in just that quick 2.5 day on sale window, we were able to add $17,000 of additional revenue for the band around that 2-show package, because obviously it was limited capacity. It's a drive-in. They're not selling as many tickets as they usually did. So it was a nice little revenue bump for them. And we saw 70% of those ticket sales be driven by a 2-show series buy. So the whole concept into that, and Megan can speak to it as well, maybe later on, but at this point we're selling to fans, right? Like we're not selling to couch surfers on Friday that are skimming through Netflix and Hulu and going, I wonder what streaming platform I'm going to watch an artist on tonight. It's like we're really engaging probably the top 10% of fans for these artists. And what we have found is that they are just as quickly going to buy 2 shows or 3 shows from an artist as they're going to buy 1. So if we're really talking about maximizing the revenue opportunity, the opportunity to put 2 or 3 shows into a series is really a great opportunity to drive up that kind of gross sale revenue. So Michael, you asked previously just kind of about deal structures for us. You also kind of asked about reach around the platform and target genre, et cetera. I truly believe that our platform's for all artists, big, small, multi-genre. I mean, we built a platform that performs at a high quality and engages fans. It's a platform for all, right? Like we may have had a majority of one kind of artist as we started to get out the gate, but as you'll see on the platform, it's starting to move into country, Americana, jam, hip hop, R&B. We had a really strong Latin show on Valentine's Day. We're really starting to expand our reach in that genre as we start to have our flagship artists in one genre. We feel like we perform and do a really great job with that artist, and then the just kind of word of mouth starts to spread and we get more and more opportunities to those genres. So I don't think we're really specifically targeted at any. We feel like we're a platform for artists and fans, period, no matter the demographic. Quickly touching on kind of our deal structures at the core base level, if we're not helping with any of the costs to perform and to stand up a show, the cost of the platform is $500. So even in like a developing artist type world, 500 isn't like chump change, but it's still not that far out of reach when you're talking about selling even 50 tickets at $10, right? Like kind of getting over that hurdle. The way that expands out is after we sell 1,000 tickets, an additional 30 cents gets tacked on per ticket. And that's to support the customer service piece that I talked to you about. So that's kind of bare bones, just real simple, easy, clean approach of getting a show up on the platform. You know, with that kind of deal structure and that kind of approach to standing up shows on our platform, you got to think for that $500, you're getting everything that I showed in that show example, right? You're getting the customer support, you're getting the fan chat, you're getting the ability to link out to merch. We feel like it's an incredible value what we put in there, and aren't trying to create any kind of barrier for any size artists on the platform. We're here to support them all and make sure that they have a successful experience.
Would you say it's accurate to, I mean, you know, we've been through a couple of the partners where it is a lot more DIY, or it's right baked into social platforms you're already engaged on pretty regularly. To me, everything I've watched at Mandolin kind of feels like this is more of an event happening, right? It isn't the every night in your socials live performance that some folks do. Keep doing that, please. It's great to keep the audience engaged, but when you've got something major, if it's once a quarter, if it's once every 6 months, this is more of a invite everyone to it, sell tickets event than some other platforms might be.
Yeah, well, you know, the term that we use, and I think I'm going to mess up the term, Megan can speak to it, but just kind of like a qualifying event, right? Like if you're going to put your fans, if you've been giving your fans free streams for X amount of months through quarantine, and then we're going to put them behind a paywall, you really want them to feel like it's an event, even if it's a small event, right? Like you don't want to sit there and have them expect that they're going to get the same thing that they got for free on a different platform. And that's totally fair. You know, but just like what you were speaking to, we hosted Grace Carter for Valentine's Day, right? Who Grace is a great example. All through quarantine had done the Twilight series for free on our social media platforms. And even an artist that size had to kind of pivot and really show that this was going to be a different show. It's going to be a really exceptional show. And it was twofold. There was not as much like kind of banter on that show for us in Valentine's Day. She really just powerhouse went through her set. But the fans in the chat were like, man, the quality of this show is exponentially better than anything that we got on the Twilight series. Can we please just host a Twilight series here? So you'll see that when you put your fans in that place and you kind of create that event and put a little bit more into the production and a little bit more effort in that area, fans are totally ready, willing, and able to support the artist behind that.
Yeah.
So
that's a great point.
Go ahead, Megan.
Well, I was going to say, in the touring or in-person world, you buy your ticket a year and a half in advance, you plan your entire life around going to this event that you've paid hundreds of dollars for potentially. And, the live stream market is different. The barrier to entry is very low. The price point is very low. And so, what we've been kind of consulting with artists on, and, Keith, it was a compelling event. Keith, that you were almost there.
So close.
It's just like, what's that special thing that they are wanting to buy a ticket for? Is it that you're going to play an album top to bottom that they probably have never heard before? Is it the production value? Is it Q&A or something like that that's like a special access piece? But like Keith said, we're seeing that people they respond to that. They do, and not only do they buy a ticket, but they also show up. I'll get the stat for you in just a minute while Corey's talking, but we have an amazing percentage of people who buy a ticket and then actually show up to the show. And at a $15 price point, you might expect to see that dropping off, but it doesn't, because we're working with these artists to create these really special moments that people want to see, almost as much as we can, mimicking that adrenaline, get ready, and excitement for the show that you bought a year and a half in advance.
It feels like you're evolving too, right? It feels like you're paying attention to how it's being received and what people are doing and following trend on it. Not just following trend, certainly setting, but also, seeing where there is success and focusing some efforts that way. The whole thing's evolved quite a bit, right? You used to stick this on a Tuesday because you actually had shows on Friday and Saturday night. Well, now people are sitting at home wanting that Friday and Saturday night show on their screens. So that's an evolution in itself. And it looks like, the what you just described with Grace is another perfect example of like, well, let's pull everything else in here too, because the experience is just so changed. So very cool.
I really want to pass to Corey here in a second, because the product that we're using is the heartbeat of why we're able to create these events for artists, right? But I really do want to speak to the developing artist crowd that you have, right? So we hosted Molly Tuttle on our platform. If Molly did a 3-show series with us, it wasn't just a one show. It probably wouldn't have been as wildly successful as one show for Molly. She knew that she really wanted to capitalize and sell more to those fans. And she created compelling events. There wasn't a record anniversary. There wasn't a new record. She took 3 shows and was like, how are we going to make these shows different? How are we going to reach our fans? First night was songs from the Bay, and she did all songs from San Francisco songwriters and San Francisco performers. Second one was protest songs, right in an election year, kind of highlighted her favorite protest songs. The third one was a pick and party, where she invited all of her musician friends to come in and join her on stage. And even though she didn't have thousands of fans in each show, there were hundreds of fans in each show, but it was an incredibly lucrative experience for her, for a developing artist that is just kind of sitting there going, I need to engage my fans, and I also need to be profitable, and I don't have a new record. How do we do this? Like, we also have a team that can engage around that stuff and help those artists bake out those ideas. So enough about artists and shows and all the fancy schmancies. I really do want to get to Corey. She's going to show some really cool things, what we've already done with the product and potentially where we're going, and highlight what we've got cooking.
Cool. So I'm Corey, and I lead the product team at Mandolin, and excited to talk through some of the things that we're working on to really build the best, highest quality platform in the industry. So we really think about 4 key areas on the product side. First and foremost, it's about the music. So we invested early in quality of our performances, audio and visual quality, and sort of made a bet that would make the difference in one-off events that we're just throwing out there, and long-term adoption and use by both artists and fans. And we were pumped to learn that was the right bet. We hear time and time again that the quality of our platform is unmatched, and it's by far the thing I am most proud of on the product side. And that's because ultimately we're all in this because we think music is great. And so You can build as many gimmicks and bells and whistles as you want, but at the end of the day, people are buying a ticket to connect with an artist around their music, and that's what we want to give them. And so that is always our most important focus every show. The next thing we think about is, live music is really cool because it's beautiful, and then also because it lets you connect with other people. It's one of the most connective experiences in the world, and we really believe that digital experiences should be no different. It's just like an NFL football game on Sunday. It's very cool to go to a game in a huge stadium. It's also very cool to have your whole family over and watch the game in your living room. And they're different, but they're both awesome. And our goal is that it feels that way when you're engaging with music digitally as well. And so we think about authentic connection opportunities in the experiences we build for fans. Also, we spend a lot of time thinking outside of live stream. So it starts with live stream, certainly, but it doesn't end there. And so we've been doing some really cool things with VIP experiences, offering artists different ways to connect with their fans in different formats that really are actually very difficult, can be very difficult to do in a traditional touring setting, and are very boxed geographically and in terms of time. But in the digital world, those constraints don't exist. And so it gets really exciting when they start discovering ways they can monetize that. It's this excellent source of incremental revenue that really lives outside of the typical touring format. And then finally, we want to be flexible with ticketing. So Mandolin, offers comprehensive ticketing, but also realizes that like artists, venues, presenters, they have existing relationships, and we're not here to give you an extra headache in trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I choose between their ticketing and how do I make all the data work? So, we're working really hard to integrate with the major ticketing providers so that really ticketing and the data that comes with that is just seamless. So I'll dive into each of these categories a little bit. First, I want to talk about those, connective experiences that I mentioned. One thing that we've learned from our data is that the majority of fans that tune into a live stream literally just watch the live stream. They're there for the music. They're there for the experience. They have an artist they want to see perform, and that's their main goal. So whether they're on their personal computer and they're on a mobile device, they're often casting, they're airplaying. And so what that told us is like, hey, people want to see and hear the show from the biggest screen in their house. But we also, like any other venue, we want the merch table out. We want their friends around them. We want them to be experiencing this as if it were a venue. And so we have invested heavily in what we call basically the second screen experience, building out native mobile apps and TV beta apps, which essentially allow just what I described. You can engage in the show on the biggest screen in your house uninterrupted, but in the palm of your hand, you have all the different interaction points available. So whether you're in your watch party chatting with your friends it's just your own private watch party, or you're browsing merch, or we've even had some fun experiments around QR codes that are exposed in the video during the show. And just imagine, you're on your couch and you hold up your device, you scan a QR code, and there's an exclusive t-shirt that you can purchase right there. And so there's just a lot of ways that the digital device connectivity in your own home can make the experience more immersive, which is really exciting and different, and even I would say elevated from sometimes what's even possible in a live venue. And then also those VIP experiences I talked about. This is really, I think, one of the most disruptive things we're doing, because it can exist apart from and in addition to any revenue you're making from like performances. This is really a new and exciting way to engage with your fans that we have seen you can monetize extremely successfully. And it's so much more straightforward, cleaner, and easier than some of the versions of this that can, happen in live venue situations. And so, imagine, sure, there's the one-on-one meet and greet experience that we're all used to, but We're also, we have a great video partner. It's kind of a startup, and they're really pushing the limits of real-time interaction with high quality live stream video, which means, the possibilities are endless in terms of like, consider like a private show where you're writing a new album. You're going to perform 3 tracks off that album for your 15 most loyal fans. You're going to sell tickets to that experience and make some money off of that. But you're also going to get some critical feedback at a time when normally in the traditional life cycle would have been impossible. So yeah, we're really excited about that, and work is underway to release those. We've been using a really fun beta product on that for a while. So we're excited to build something that's really niche and really solves a lot of the problems that we've seen even from just using that beta platform. And then finally, reporting and insights. So like, you've done your show, you've done your live stream, you've done a couple of VIP events. What's really exciting is that several people on our team, Prod Tech and leadership, come from a CRM background. And so they have this really solid understanding of what is possible when a business can connect directly with its consumers. And so when you apply that to presenters and fans, what you have is like exactly what Megan mentioned at the beginning. Is for the first time, really ever, right at your fingertips, you have the data you need to make better decisions and also to directly connect with the people who are supporting your music. And so that can look, you can take action on that in a lot of different ways, whether it's pre-event and you're watching your ticketing sales daily and figuring out how better to target where people are buying, who's buying, what kinds of bundles they're purchasing, what's working, what's not, and make adjustments real time. Or post-event, when you're seeing, okay, how do people interact with this page? Like, at what point in the show were they most excited? At what point did they drop off? How can I do the show differently for longer engagement next time? Which merch tiles got more interactions? And which were the fans that were most engaged that I probably want to invite to my next super exclusive VIP event? So yeah, the data is really the rich treasure that like lives underneath all of this. And that's like our number one goal is that should never be hidden from the artist. That should be something that is right in their hand that they can take action on and help their business grow. So those are a few of the things that we're working on that we're really excited about. It's a really ambitious roadmap, but we're really ambitious people, so we're excited about it.
So how granular is the information that you're getting in sort of live time like that? Like you had said, sentiment of the audience around a particular moment in the show where people are really engaging. Is that kind of sentiment feeling tracked, whether it's emojis on screen or comments in stream?
Yeah, we're looking at a lot of different things right now. On our first release, our MVP of the presenter tool suite, the key timeline metric we're looking at is emoji reactions, because they're the most related, generally speaking, to the actual performance. But we also have played around with a timeline view of all engagement of the entire show. So and maybe eventually with data we'll be able to understand what an engagement metric like a combined engagement metric means in terms of revenue. It's going to be really exciting to work with artists and see what's really useful to them. We know what we think might work, but that's all based on other industries. And so it's going to be special and probably unique for music, and we're excited to figure it out.
Right. Yeah, I think when we plan through content like that, were we to do something afterward, like the Judah and the Lion live album on Spotify kind of thing, the focus tracks that came out one by one beforehand, it'd be amazing to get a sentiment for fans. We're really on top of this track at point X, through all the options, and those kind of insights are amazing. This looks really cool.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So thank you, Corey. We'll bring it on home with some more information. Michael, you asked about the marketing services that we offer. I did also want you to know, while Corey and Keith were talking, I looked up the attendance stat we were talking about. 98% of people who buy a ticket attend the show. That's unheard of. So, we talked a little bit about how Livestream is really pulling in artists, diehard fans, and we definitely see that to be true. So you would ask a little bit about marketing services, or kind of like what we put on top of the platform to help our clients sell tickets. So, I lead a marketing services team, and we talk about it being an extension of the artist marketing team. It's really filled with people who have both live music marketing experience and digital marketing experience kind of coming together. We will do marketing expenses as a recouped expense, or as Keith talked about, having the platform pricing. We can always also, work with the artist to determine what their budget is, on just kind of like a flat marketing budget to start putting these things out there to market the show. And we kind of use a really broad range of different marketing tactics. We'll work with the artists to kind of, feel their brand, their vibe, their fans, and put something together that's totally unique. We rely a lot on social advertising. We also have developed some really great partnerships with people like Bands in Town and Spotify that have a really enormous reach, to get the information out like that. We have a premium email program where, we'll start looking at, different kinds of genres and being able to kind of cross market people who may be interested in other kinds of shows. And then, for things that are really unique, we may run promotional contests or giveaways or sweepstakes for a VIP meet and greet experience or things like that. Like I said, it all just depends on the artists and their fans, and making sure it's a really collaborative experience. So that's marketing services. And we have a ton of our clients that are using our marketing services because, like he said, when marketing services are used, we're driving about 45% of ticket sales through our own marketing. So we've developed even though we've only been around for a short amount of time, we've developed some pretty great expertise in that amount of time. So we feel pretty proud about that. But then in addition to marketing, we also have an artist services team. So this team is made up of people who have been in the festival world and the promotion world for a very long time, and understand all of the different pieces that actually need to go into putting on a show. So, we said, Keith gave a great example of, Molly Tuttle doing really special content. Well, we may consult with people on what the content should be of a 3-part series to ensure there's engagement across every single one. We might talk about creative merch ideas that they could do in association with the show, and then help, facilitate their production and the fulfillment of that. We've got tons of venue contacts all over the country. So maybe we're, leveraging those relationships to help an artist get into a venue that's really special for them, and set up with the production equipment and all of that. We've got people with expertise in sponsorships and a lot of relationships there. So, how can we augment a show by pulling in a sponsor and adding like a fun factor, and also taking advantage of the sponsor's reach. So definitely, we call the artist service the partner in crime, but definitely people who have had many, many years in the music business and understand how all of these things can come together for a really special fan experience, and then helping execute that. So I'll end with a case study that we are just like beyond proud of that happened last week, which was the Tibet House annual benefit concert. So this had been an in-person show at Carnegie Hall for 33 years. And in the 34th year, because of the pandemic, obviously they couldn't get together at Carnegie Hall. So they came to us, and really the team, I don't think they'd mind me saying, they said, we have no idea how to do this. We know we want to do it, but we have no idea how to take this event that's been going on such a long time that we know exactly how to do and turn it into a digital event. So the Tibet House team worked with our artist services team to produce an incredible event. We had, who were the performers? Eddie Vedder was there, Brittany Howard was there, Flaming Lips were there, Black Pumas. It was an amazing show. And, like Keith talked about with the Bluebird, they had 4x attendance, based on what they could put in Carnegie Hall versus what happened when they opened it up to the world. And then when they talked about their investment with us, they had 130% return on their investment because, we were able to cut the production costs really in half, not having to orchestrate so many things on that night. And so they were so pleased with it. You know, we keep beating the drum that even when live events, that live stream is not going away. You know, we've already had our recap meeting with them, and they are, you know, on fire to make sure even when they're going back and doing their in-person event at Carnegie Hall probably next year, that there's going to be a live component or a live stream component to it. Because, you know, and even, you know, if you think about a nonprofit, it not only opened their world for fundraising, but also opened the world even further for them to get their really important messages out there. So it's just really, really a win-win, and we're really, really proud of that. So we will end on that. Thanks so much for having us.
That's fantastic. Thank you guys so much. I think that'll be the most interesting part of it is kind of watching how you all sort of merge that synergy when the world comes back to doing stuff in person again. And yet this is still such an important fan engagement tool, and the data that Corey went through just, you know, definitely proves that out. No question. You know, I was able to ask a lot of questions along the way. You guys hit on pretty much most of what my group of folks here tends to be very curious about with these platforms. So thank you very much for it. The only one that I think I wanted to note was you mentioned you had a Latin American show on Valentine's Day that went very well. Language in platform, language around platform, is it all in English at the moment? Is there roadmap for Spanish, Portuguese, anything outside of English?
So the way that we address that, and we have a Francophone French Canadian artist coming up next month as well. So like global outreach for us. The way that we addressed it in the Carla Morrison opportunity on Valentine's Day, everything around the ticketing page and the show page was bilingual. It was in English and in Spanish. So we can kind of cater that. And then we actually outsourced for a team member from her management company to work the show chat for us. So while fans were in there, mostly in Spanish, we had somebody that was a liaison between that show and our team for potential customer service issues, or they're saying they can't see this or can't hear this. So we really make sure, again, like for me, Corey honed in on it. Like we bet on quality of audio and video and the quality of our platform, but we've doubled down on fan experience and customer experience. It's a huge priority for us, no matter who the artist is. And we make sure that they feel taken care of. So is the platform or the ticketing pages or the box office bilingual by nature? No. Would you be able to tell it if you went to go check out the Bobby Bazzini show coming up on our box office? Probably not. We even had the situation where they were talking about fans' feedback about the checkout process being in USD instead of CAD, right? But we just integrated PayPal, and PayPal converts to the native currency. So if that is a priority for those customers, we can serve them in that way. So.
Excellent.
I'll also just quickly mention that we do have on the roadmap closed captioning in a multitude of languages. So another really exciting sort of like win of live streaming is it makes the world of live events far more accessible to many more people. And so our head of quality engineering is, this is like a near and dear sort of like passionate thing for him. And he has really been pressing for accessibility across our product. It's extremely tricky figuring out how to integrate closed captioning in a myriad of languages with live stream versus, anyway, the point is we're excited. We're really excited about it. And it is a priority for us. So it's coming.
Thank you all very, very, very much. We will indeed have questions down in the fields below from the folks that are watching this, and we'll bring them back your way for answers. Also, the most impressive accomplishment, I think, for the whole thing is that mandolin.com is actually your website. I don't know how you got it. That's amazing. But that's where you head to get more information on this. And I mean, it has to have been taken years ago. I don't know how you pulled it off. But we will hear more from you for sure. Thank you very much, Megan, Corey, Keith. Thank you so much for making the time. More to come, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, Michael.